Right, so we are in New Orleans right now, Louisiana, and actually before we got here, we were in Lafayette for a couple days, so that was a lot of fun. We actually did a really nice farmers market. I'm here having a lavender latte.
Oh my God. Well, one thing I like about drinking those is that if you drink enough of those and you get the lavender smell, you don't have to shower regularly. Well, that's what I heard anyway.
And we got there on a weekend where they were having the Po' Boy Festival, so that was pretty cool. But now we're in New Orleans. We're doing the hop on, hop off bus. It's something that we love to do when we're in a city we've never been before. So you get a lay of the land. It takes about an hour and a half to do the whole route. So you get to see all the different districts. So anyways, a lot going on in this video, hop on, hop off. Tomorrow we'll do a walking tour in the French Quarter it's actually a food tour. That'll be fun. There's a lot going on here. So stick with us. We're in New Orleans. Got here nice and early. Well, not as early as we hoped this morning. And we're at the Basin Street Station. This is actually a good place to park if you want to do the hop on, hop off. The parking is it's easy. There's a lot. And how much was it, Mark?
Well, it was amazingly cheap. I want to say it was $5 for like 4 or 5 hours, and then it was, I think, $10 for 10 hours. And all we read about is people's cars getting booted around here. So I booked 10 hours knowing full well that we wouldn't be here. But at $10, I didn't care anymore. We were actually parked right here. Yes. I wonder if we would have got it booted.
That was a 20-minute parking in the shade. We thought, oh boy, we got lucky. No, Mark noticed. We moved before we got our car.
So we got our car. We're in the bacon sunlight.
We reserved our tickets online and then checked in and picked them up at this stop. Once you check in, you're good for 24 hours. If you're going to be here longer, getting the 2 consecutive days or 3-day gives you more bang for your buck. The 3 consecutive days actually has 2 walking tours included. Didn't know that when we booked. Note to self for next time. Here's a pro tip. Try to be one of the first on board so you get a seat up top. Best seats on the bus. This iconic double-decker bus is a live guided tour of New Orleans' most popular attractions from the French Quarter to the Garden District. Because it's live, you're able to ask your guide questions along the way. That's pretty cool. This is a continuous loop tour, so you can decide what time your tour begins and ends and where you want to start. It takes 1.5 hours to do the whole loop, and buses pick up every 30 minutes. It's really flexible and informative. We made our way through New Orleans, passing many historical buildings, along with museums, and a lot of history and culture and information about how the city began and how it changed over the years. The architecture was beautiful and varied, and we saw plenty of classic gallery porches. Gallery, that's balconies supported by posts or columns. Different from just a balcony, which does not have any post supports. And that's a little lesson I personally learned on the tour. And what's New Orleans without some beaded necklaces? As we headed down St. Charles Street, you get to see plenty of them. Especially this weighed down tree that seems to be everybody's favorite. We started at stop 5 and went all the way around to here, stop number 1, Jackson Square, which is a historic park in the French Quarters and appears to be the anchor. And as you can see, there are other ways of seeing this area besides the hop on and hop off bus. This is also a great place to see some really talented musicians. We're completing the loop. This is the St. Louis Cemetery number 1 right by Stop 5. You can take a 45-minute tour for $25. You'll hear interesting info on deceased New Orleans natives to Hollywood celebrities, some of them still living, like Nicolas Cage with his eccentric pyramid tomb. And once we're back at the station, we get a few minutes break so we can hit the restroom and get back on for the next loop.
Short 6-minute break here, folks.
The smell of diesel in the morning. That's how you make an RVer happy.
And we're back on the bus after a restroom break and taking the loop again, sitting on the opposite side of the bus, of course. And this time we decided we were going to hop off. So we just got off on stop 12. We are in the Garden District right now.
And we don't know what we're doing, we don't know where we're going, but we're going to formulate a plan inside this unknown building here.
All right, we have a plan. First things first, let's eat. We walked over to a restaurant that our guide said was his favorite, and because he is a local, we went with his suggestion. So we decided to stop in the Garden District and have a little lunch at Joey K's. Really funky place. That's the kind of stuff I like.
So this might not be any good. We don't know that yet. We haven't tasted it. But look at the presentation. Look at these strips here. Just ready to go right inside the old pie hole.
So I just noticed this table here, reserved for Richard. There were 3 people and they're walking out right now. And that must have been Richard. It's a food tour. If you want a food tour in the Gardens District, this is going to be probably one of your stops.
Yeah. We just had the corned beef and cabbage. Yes. Outstanding. Yes. And good enough to share. Look at Sue and I are sharing it.
This is actually one order. All right. Special we had was the corned beef and cabbage. Outstanding. Very cool place, too. And now on to checking out the Garden District. There are a lot of self-guided walking tours for the Garden District. So since we didn't purchase a guided walking tour, we thought this would be the next best thing. We're walking through the Garden District in New Orleans, and oh my gosh, these houses are so grand and huge, one after another.
You're missing the best part again. Look at that digger just went on there backwards, you know. I love it.
Carry on. The Garden District is known for its rich and lavish mansions and the streets lined with these huge, beautiful oak trees. The houses are a diverse mix of homes from single-story cottages to the grand historic mansions and lavish gardens. The district also has boutiques and antique shops, along with anywhere from fine dining restaurants to casual cafes and local bars. But we're just walking through the neighborhoods.
So here's a OGIM pro tip. If you want to save money and be able to afford a Dutch Star, what you do is you download the free app on your phone to tell you where to tour in and around the Garden District. And it's a little prompt when you know if it's important enough for you to stop. You just look at the groups of people and what they're looking at. And you got a group of people over here and they're looking at the same thing. Then you got this group over here and they're looking at that.
One thing for sure, you got to be careful when you're walking this walk. Got a lot of broken bricks. Mark's still standing. If he can do it, anybody can.
So here in New Orleans, most people don't know whose house this was, but originally this home was owned by Orville Redenbacher, and that's how he invented popcorn, and this was a tribute to that invention. I'm pretty sure of that.
You're sure of that?
Yeah, I might have to Google it, but no, I'm sure of it.
Go Google it now.
Okay, I'll be right back.
And with that, we headed back to our bus. The hop-on, hop-off bus runs from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30, and they suggest that you get on the bus by 4 o'clock to make sure that you make it back to where you parked. Got a cafe here. It was open earlier today, not so much right now. Nice visitor center. They do have restrooms here. Hey, Cherie checked us in. She was awesome. Definitely got to do hop on, hop off if you come to New Orleans. So parking is not for free, even if you decide to leave your e-bike here. You're going to get booted and you're going to have to pay to get it unlocked. Just a warning.
It was only $5 for 10 hours. So even though I knew I wasn't going to use the hours, I wanted to get a good deal. So I bought it.
Good deal.
Thanks, honey.
Basin Street Station. The next day, we drove back to the French Quarters for our food walking tour. I love walking tours because you get to be in the environment and can linger if you like, rather than just driving by. We got there early so we could walk around and just take in the whole area. All kinds of things to do here. You want a steamboat ride? They have all kinds of tours, walking tours.
This wall, look at how heavy it is. How heavy, look at how it rolls shut, and then with these jack screws going against those stainless rods, one on each side, and it sucks the wall close, and it's part of the levee system. Unbelievable. This entire area is walled off for the city, and every one of these openings has got a rolling wall that sucks tight. Wow. So we're going on a walking food tour in an hour, and we decided to take care of business, so we went to the restroom first. But this is kind of an example of one of the things that's so great about going on a hop-on, hop-off tour prior to you walking around the city. We're actually going to be some of the tourists now that are in the way like they were on our hop-on, hop-off. And we're going to go over and check out this church cathedral and see what the heck it is. Come on, Sue, let's get going.
Jackson Square was built in 1721 and lined with historic buildings. One of the most recognizable is St. Louis Cathedral, which is among the tallest and most imposing structures in the French Quarter. The square is also another place that performers and artists get to show their talent. And as we made our way to our tour meeting place, there's art and music everywhere. There's even literary art. How about an original poem? Or joke? Or maybe you just like to have your fortune told. All right, we are on our foodie walking tour in the French Quarters. We're waiting for a few stragglers, and then we're going to get going.
You know how I can tell I'm hungry? I'm looking at that fake food on that charcuterie tray
Oh
there.
my gosh.
I'm thinking of breaking the window and taking it.
It's fake.
Can you
It's
see
fake,
it?
Mark. It's
Yeah.
fake.
Mind if you would just tighten it up a little bit and step away
This
from
is
the
Jack,
wall.
our tour guide from Destination Kitchens. As we walked through the French Quarter, Jack gave us a lot of information and history of what we're seeing. It wasn't just about the food, but the food was great, along with learning about the history of the cuisine we were eating and how it came to be. Check out some of the food we tried.
What's this one on?
You're eating jambalaya.
And what was that one?
That's gumbo.
Gumbo. I'm more of a jambalaya.
We just finished our walking tour, our foodie walking tour.
Yes.
We did a lot of photos. He didn't want us to do videos, which I get. He said, well, people just go on YouTube and not do the tour. Do the tour. See if you can get with Jack. Jack was awesome.
Well, I told Jack, I said, you know, we would fake them out a little bit. We'd put like McDonald's in there and Subway. And,
No.
If we wanted, for the French Quarter part, we'd put Panera Bread. But he wasn't buying it.
With French fries, right? Yeah. No, so it was great. We're heading back to our parking now. And
Well, that does bring up parking.
Oh yeah,
We
bring up
used
parking.
a parking app, I think it was called Hero Parking.
Yeah.
And we found a really normal parking structure, literally 5 minutes from where we needed to be. And it was $11.23
All
for
day.
8 frickin' hours.
Yeah.
Can't beat that with a stick.
Yeah, so if anybody tells you, oh my God, the French Quarter, parking's crazy, we were kind of on the edge, but yet there are people everywhere walking around. It's a busy place. It was like a 3-minute walk to where we had to meet for our walking tour. Not a bad walk. It was not even a half mile to get there. So anyways, this ends our New Orleans. Mark is always behind me. This ends our New Orleans downtown in the French Quarters. Not downtown, just in the French Quarters.
But what are we doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're going to be back in this area. We're going to do World War II Museum, which
Yes.
would be awesome.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Did you make it?
Well, ask me at 20 feet.
Right, today on our exploration in New Orleans, we were at the National World War II Museum. And this is one of those museums that Mark and I could spend a lot of time at. We probably aren't going to be showing anything indoors because Mark did read online that they won't allow any photography or videography. So we thought, well, we'll give you an intro so you can see where we're at,
Right.
and we'll fill you in on when we come out.
I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford not going to this, being here. So it's a pretty impressive place. We'll give you a little rundown when we get back on what it's like.
After we were done recording this intro, we had a little guy come up to us and ask if we were YouTubers. He was kind of excited to hear that we are. Here's a shout out to our youngest follower. That's Cole, the happy little guy, and his big brother Avery, and mom and dad Melissa and John.
It's about 5 p.m. and we just finished the National World War II Museum. We're in a lot more somber mood. I haven't been this moved by a museum since we went to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C.
Right.
So all I can say is, if you're in this area, take a pass on some of the donuts or some of the hop-on, hop-offs if you don't have enough time to do both, and do this museum. This is education and learning about past things and mistakes made.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm emotionally drained. I mean, we watched a movie in there that had us both in tears, and it's like humanity. It's like, what's wrong with some of us, you know?
And we did what we usually do. We packed a lunch, so we hit it hard about almost 3 hours. And then we went back to the car, and we had a sandwich and a coffee, and we came back, and now we're closing the place.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time did we
got
get here?
We got here about 10.
Yeah, we got here at 10. We're leaving at 5. If you can manage it, get here at 9:15 because we were rushing it in the end. And quite frankly, I can't stand up much longer.
Yeah, we're exhausted.
All right.
Emotionally, physically, we're done. All right.
Let's hit it.
Onward. We were told by many that if you go to New Orleans, you need to visit the National World War II Museum. They were right, and you should go too. Today is another solo adventure day. I'm actually going to do a swamp kayak here near New Orleans. I'll be with Wild Louisiana Tours, and it took me about a half hour to drive out to their launching spot. They said get here early. I'm early because I didn't know where I was going. So it's very cloudy, and they're talking about scattered showers. They said even though it rains, they will still go, but if it's not going to be safe, they will cancel it. One thing, I'll be ditching my microphone thing that I have because this is what I'll be putting my phone in. So far, it's been great. Hang it around my neck. Don't worry about water, the rain. I'm excited. Swamp kayak with Wild Louisiana Tour. So we've got a little friend coming to escort us on our tour. All right. right, we're out here just practicing right now, waiting for the rest of the group to come. Looks like there might be about 5 of us. It's starting to rain. So even though it was starting to rain, we kept going, and every now and then our guide would stop us to give us a little information of what we were seeing and what we're going to see. And I knew it was going to start raining sometime, so I brought my raincoat, but for those who did not, our guide actually had a bunch and offered ponchos to them. That was really nice. It was actually pretty warm in the 70s, and with that temperature, who cares about the rain? I think it actually added to our experience. Sometimes you just got to do things in the rain. The rain has subsided, and it's amazing how the birds are coming alive. Got a spotting right up here. All right, we've got a eagle's nest spotting too. And truly, once the rain stopped, we saw all kinds of wildlife. So we're heading back, and you can see the rain has started. At least we had a little break. Got to see a lot of wildlife and hear a lot of wildlife. Right, these guys have a good idea. Hide out under the bridge until the downpour ends. We made it back, and you can see the rain slowed down a little bit. So I'm back at the rig, and even though it was a rainy kayak day, it was a great day. I enjoyed the kayaking a lot. This was a good tour with Louisiana Wildlife Tour, I believe it's called. And whether you go with this group or some other group, it's just beautiful being out in the swamp and seeing all the different critters, especially once the rain stopped. The whole place came alive with sounds and action and birds flying. You know, sometimes you just got to do things in the rain, whether you're walking in the rain, kayaking in the rain, dance in the rain. That's my favorite. All in all, this was a great kayak morning for me. All right, we're going to wrap up our stay here in New Orleans by going to Café du Monde. And no, we are not in the French Quarter. We tried that a couple times. We were hoping that would have been part of our walking food tour. But it was too crowded, and every time we went by there, it was super crowded, and the line was really long. So we came to this one on Veterans Boulevard, I think it is, and it's only 50 minutes from our KOA, so we thought the beignet will be the beignet, but the atmosphere might be a little different. So
Sue had this fantasy that we were going to eat outside,
yeah.
And she said, well, it's covered, in case it's sprinkling a little bit, so I got a raincoat on. But we get here, and there's about 50 kids out there, and they're all sugared up, and they're running around like crazy. So I'm thinking we're going to be inside. But I do have a pro tip for you, honey. And
right.
I know you were a high school of the arts school teacher, and I thought you were a little bit more worldly like I am, because you'll notice that you are pronouncing it incorrectly. It's Café du Monde, and it's coffee and beignets. So let's get going.
Oh my God. This is a must-visit place. Café du Monde is French for Café of the World, or the People's Café. And it's been serving steaming café au lait and hot beignets from New Orleans' original French market coffee stand since 1862. Beignets are this wonderful hot square donut, no holes, with lots of powdered sugar. During the American Civil War, the New Orleans Creoles developed the chicory blended coffee because there was a coffee shortage. The chicory blend has continued to be served at Café du Monde. Chicory adds a bit of chocolate-like flavor to the café au lait.
Well, before you start, honey, I'd like to share an OGM pro tip with you and everybody. I've studied eating beignets intensively, and one of the things you want to do is when you sit down with somebody, the first thing is determine which way the wind is blowing. I want to be upwind so that when I start eating, it goes all over Sue. And Sue has a pro tip to share.
If you're going to have all that powdered sugar, you got to wear white.
Yeah.
That's the only way to go.
And I think I got to take all my black off.
Oh my God. Wrong color, Mark. You didn't get the memo. The Café au lait, Mark got the regular Americana.
That's regular coffee.
With cream. We'll see.
This This one has chicory in it.
Yeah, that has chicory in it. What do you think? Marco.
I'd say better.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Get it with the chicory in it. We might have to buy some. Yeah. I get the powder, but why so much? Like Mark didn't get enough sugar. He's actually pouring it into the opening. Yikes. Oh my God.
That's a pro tip.
That's a pro tip. There's a lot of room in there. I'm going plain. Right. We finished. I wonder where Mark went. Marco.
Oh, sorry. And this is the last pro tip. If you're inclined to come to Cafe du Monde to have these, if you at all are having or experiencing any allergy situations, don't come here and sneeze at the wrong time.
So when I was in purchasing another t-shirt, one for me, one for my daughter, I was told that there's actually 10 Cafe du Mondes around the New Orleans area. So it's not just in the French Quarter, they're scattered all over the place. So if you're like us and you end up not wanting to wait in line or be in a very crowded area, but you want the experience, the beignets were awesome. I really like the coffee and chicory too. So 10 other spots in the area.
Yeah, the Cafe du Monde.
Medical. All right. Well, thanks for being with us on this travel. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment. We appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.